Quiz 4, question 5 through 11. There's multiple steps using these price data from the S&P 500 and a template that you would have downloaded. The template looks just like this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to work through the template, finding all the information that pertains to questions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so the first thing we need to do here is compute the returns for the S&P 500 and the related stocks. And the way that we'll do that in the template is we'll notice that we're starting here with our oldest data, and we see dates are increasing in time. So we'll go to question 5, and we're going to take the last date, second to last date, divided by the last date, and minus 1, and that will calculate the last period's worth of return. We'll then fill that data to the right. You can drop and drag the formula to the right, but what I like to do is I like to hit the Alt key, and when you hit the Alt key, you'll see the ribbon up top highlight. Hit H for home, F and I for fill, and D for down. Oh, I didn't hit the wrong one. Control Z, Alt H, Fi. We're going to fill to the right. There we go. All right. Once we do that, we can actually notice that we're all the way over into column L. So I'm going to go to the bottom, arrow over to column L, hold Control and Shift to the left, holding down the Shift key, arrow once back to the right, and then holding Control Shift up arrow. Next, we can fill this down by hitting Alt H, Fi for fill, and D for down. So there's all of our return data for those stocks, as well as the S&P 500. The next thing we can do is calculate the weight in the portfolio. And the easiest way to do this is just divide each component by the sum of all of the market caps involved. And the next thing we want to do is hit F4 to lock in that sum. And so now we can see that main foods represents 2.82 of the total portfolio, and we can just drag this to the right. So we have our amounts. And we can double check that it all adds up. We can hit Alt equal to sum, and we can see it sums to 100%. So we know our portfolio proportions are calculated correctly. All right. So to calculate our portfolio down here, we're going to use the function sum product. And what we're going to do is get our weights up here. Then we'll hit F4, and then we're going to select the stocks within the portfolio. We want to be careful not to select the S&P 500 data because we're just collecting the portfolio stocks that we have. We're using the S&P 500 data to calculate our alpha, beta, and R squared, or our beta and R squared. Okay, so next thing we want to do is go to the bottom, select all the data, and fill down. All right, so now we've calculated our returns in the portfolio. We can check by going all the way bottom, and we see it's filled in. All right, so next thing we want to do is calculate the alpha for the S&P 500. And so remember, we're doing known y's relative to the x's. So that's going to be our intercept function. And so we're actually referencing everything to the S&P 500. So what we're going to do is calculate our known y's, or select our known y's. Our known x's, capture the same. This time we want to hit F4. And so now we find the alpha is 0 because why? Well, we're using the S&P 500 to explain the S&P 500. We have a unity, so the alpha should be at 0. We can then take this formula for intercept, hit Control C, and then just go down into beta, type in the same or paste in the formula, except we'll now change this to slope. Of course, we would expect a beta of 1 because it's 1 unit of market risk. And then lastly, we're going to paste in the formula one more time. And we're going to change our function from intercept to r squared Pearson. Okay, so that all makes sense. We'll select these 3, arrow all the way over to the right, and fill our data in. And so now we have our alphas, our betas, and our r squared for each of the stocks within the portfolio. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to get the average weight of the parameters. And so this will mostly get us there, but what we're going to find out is there's a bit of a problem when we go about calculating our r squared. So what we're going to say is we're going to use the sum product, and we're going to get our portfolio weights. Let's hit F4 just to lock those in. And then what we're going to do is capture our alpha data. And again, we just want to make sure not to get the S&P 500 data. We only want the data from the stocks in our portfolio. Since we're next going to calculate the beta, we can just take this information since our portfolio weights is locked in and drag down. And so the thing that we're going to find is that our r squared is off. And the reason why our r squared is off is because we're still explaining the volatility of each of the individual stocks. Instead, if we calculate using the portfolio returns, we should get the same alpha and beta, but a different r squared. So we're going to use the intercept function again. Our known y's are the portfolio, and the known x's are the S&P 500 returns. So you can see we get the same alpha. What we can then do is copy this function, go down, paste it back in, and now we're going to change intercept to slope. So let me so you have those to reference. Lastly, what we're going to do now is copy this function one more time, and then we're going to go down into r squared, and we're just going to change this from slope to r squared, or to the Pearson. Okay, so now you'll notice that our r squared has gone up because there's been variation in our portfolio that's offset by one stock versus another. So you can see all these stocks were going up, but this one, the Rocky Mountain Chocolate, was going down, so the volatility of movements was offset. And then we can see when Rocky Mountain's going up, a few others are going down. So it really smooths out. There's less volatility in the returns of the portfolio overall. So what you should learn from this is using the sum function or sum product function, using the intercept function to find the alpha, using the slope to find the beta, and also knowing that when you're going to calculate the alpha and the beta for the portfolio, it's fine if you use the individual stocks as long as they're weighted. But when it comes to calculating the r squared, you really want to make sure to use the portfolio data.